Hello, Bella, and welcome to the Awaken Heart podcast.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm very excited to be speaking with you today about what I've learned from my experiences, and I hope that it's of benefit to you and your audience.
Yes, you have quite the experience. You've gone through a lot as far as being in a cult and having your son taken away from you, and you've had to build resilience and heal and have personal growth from this. And there's also a bigger topic at play here is what's happening in the collective right now as far as what we're seeing play out. It's almost like cult group mind think, and there's a lot more than just what we're seeing on the surface happening. It goes so much deeper than that. And it's happened, it's been planned, it's been in play for a very, very long time. A lot of us are just awakening to it and seeing it for the first time, and many, many more are awakening to this. So we're going to go into that and perhaps how we can come to fight this evil, because it is evil, as humanity, as one beautiful breathing entity, as humanity. And a lot of us have lost our humanity over the last couple of years, it seems. We've been so busy fighting each other instead of coming together and collectively against all these other forces that are at work here and at play here. So, well, first of all, you're in the beautiful island of Hawaii, which I find is a magical, Kauai especially. I find she's beautiful, and she's going to show you when you come to that island. Like I don't know, I've had stuff come up and I've had to look at it. It comes up right away, and I have to process things or overcome things just from being in the beauty of the island. And I feel so much different after leaving beautiful Kauai. What part of Kauai are you on?
I'm in Anahola, which is
Okay.
on the northeast corner,
Okay.
and I live at the base of a mountain called Kalalea,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's a very beautiful and sacred mountain, and then I have the ocean on the other side. So I live in paradise. It's not a metaphor, and you're right, it is a magical place.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm here that my heart has healed. You know, it's not that I don't feel pain or grief or sadness, but I'm not suffering anymore because I'm surrounded by the beauty of the island.
Yeah. It's a very special island. Now,
Yeah.
you moved there how long ago? Straight from Victoria, Australia?
No, I actually moved here 16 years ago on 8th of the 8th, Lionsgate. And
Oh,
I moved,
that's coming up.
right, that's coming up. So buckle up. That's tomorrow. It's a big day.
Yeah.
I came from Australia in 2000. That was when I thought I joined an ashram with my guru, but I'd actually joined a cult. And I was in that cult for 8 years. And then through some horrific circumstances, I was able to free myself. And so I've been in Kauai since 2008.
Speaking of that cult and your experience and your eventual liberation, can you share your journey of escaping that messianic cult after the murder of your son? I mean, it's both harrowing and inspiring. Can you share how these experiences shaped your understanding of mind control, cult programming, and the global forces you believe are enslaving humanity?
Well, when I joined the cult. No one joins a cult, but when I was brainwashed into this group by the leader, I was in an extremely vulnerable place. I had met a man who was the father of my children and my soulmate, and we did a lot of really deep spiritual work together. And when I was 3 months pregnant with our second child, he passed away suddenly. And that put an end to my dreams of a family, of living on land and being self-sufficient. I was just a mess. I wanted to die. I really did. And the only reason I didn't was because I had a child and I was pregnant. So I knew I had to stay alive. And I was lost. I stayed in a lot of different places looking for home. Nowhere felt like home. And in the midst of this process, I met this. First of all, I did this course called Dying to Live, which was a week-long course where we went through a process in preparation for our death. And that meant we were blindfolded and in silence. And the only time we talked really was when we came together in a temple space. And that's when we wrote letters of forgiveness and our will and our eulogies to prepare for this death meditation on the last day. And I really threw myself into it because I knew I had to get through this death wish that I was carrying. So I thought this was a really good opportunity to break through. So I put my whole self into it. And when I did this meditation on the Friday, I had the most massive out-of-body experience. I don't know where I went, but what I met Barry, my husband, another Indian teacher of mine, and I was told it was time to start training with this individual who I had heard of before. I actually hadn't met him. So when I came down from that experience, I was like naked for 4 days. I was like orgasmic, squirting. Was an absolutely extraordinary experience. So when I was grounded from that, I called him up and I told him what had happened. And he said, why don't you meet me in New Zealand? He was doing this Millennium event. It was back in 2000. So I met him and then helped him with that course. And then he said, why don't you come and train with me in America? So I left my 2 older children with my mum. I went to Laguna Hills and stayed in his house. Basically, I was the housekeeper. And there was this really weird energy between us. I mean, he'd come out as a gay man, so there was this bit strange dynamic between us. And on the last week that I was going to be there, we went to Sedona for there was a grand stellium, and we were going to be doing a retreat there. And at the end of the retreat, we were up on top of this rock tower, and he called me up to face the setting sun and said, cast your deepest desire into the setting sun, which is always to serve God. That's my deepest desire. And then when I turned around, he was down on one knee with rose petals scattered, and there were bubbles being blown, and he asked me to marry him. And I felt that was, I've continued to trust the signs and the impulses that I'm feeling. So I went with it. And then I went back to Australia, got my kids, and came to live in the ashram, which was really just a normal home in a cul-de-sac, and there were other group homes around. And he was, he was the guru. He announced himself as the second coming, and we are all his disciples and supporting him in his ministry. So I had a desire to do something for the greater good. That's also been another running desire. And so there we were, helping him with his ministry. He was talking about, healing and service and making the world a better place. But really it was just all a front for his fulfilling his, really sick desires. He's got a sex addiction and has a narcissistic personality disorder. And so we were all just feeding his demons, basically. And we had sex one time, and to consummate the marriage, I got pregnant and gave birth to my youngest daughter. And he announced that because him being the second coming also made him like Lord Shiva and the Maitreya and the Kalki Avatar and all that. So he was Lord Shiva, and I'm supposed to be Shakti or some bullshit. And my daughter was Lord Ganesha. She's the remover of obstacles, the embodiment of this divine being that's going to change humanity. Anyway, it was a lot of mindfuckery going on the whole time with these psyops and gaslighting. The gaslighting was constant. He would say I said things that I never said. We had conversations we never had. It was. And I just continued, I didn't know anything about narcissism at this point. So a lot of the story that I'm telling now is after a lot of research, a lot of insight, and a lot of analysis. So he would hand out punishments for people who were disobedient that ranged from writing lines of affirmation to picking up trash, picking up dog shit, sleeping in cars, sleeping in garages, being ostracized from the group. I was sent out of the bedroom to sleep in my daughter's room because I'd been disrespectful. Like he kept on making up excuses for why we didn't have an intimate sexual relationship. I was too needy. I was too much like a man. I didn't deserve him, or it went on and on and on. And So I was in a celibate marriage and only found out later that he was grooming all the men and the boys and having like random sex with, like, he was a gay man living a gay lifestyle basically while he was married to me. And one of the people who he took out most of his like shit on was my son. And he did that because he knew that it would get to me. He was really hard on my two older children and favored the younger child, and that caused a lot of upset in me. And my son really he could see through him. He was didn't have any respect for him, and he was basically in the way of where this ministry was supposed to be going, which was just to continue to serve the cult leader and his sick obsessions. So my son came home from school one day and he was really upset and didn't want to talk about it. Woke up in the morning and he was gone. And in fact, he was gone all day. We couldn't find him, and we ended up reporting him missing to the police. And the next day, the cult leader sent out his assistant, and he was found just behind our house, and he had 2 knife wounds to his neck. And there was a kitchen knife right there. It's so blunt it can't even cut tomatoes. And the cult leader framed it all as my son had taken his life because he found out he was gay and he couldn't live with that fact. And he knew I couldn't live with that fact, which is absolute bullshit. So then he told that story to the rest of the cult, the police, and now I know that it was actually a staged suicide. That it was a staged suicide. It was a murder. But it's too late now to go back and dredge all that up. It's not really what I want to do with my energy right now. And after the murder, that's when I really I didn't even want to live anymore after that. But once again, I had children, so I had to find a way to continue to breathe.
Were you suspicious at the time, or were you so programmed?
No, I was completely, well, I knew that wasn't true, that my son had taken his life because of what I would think if he was gay. I knew that wasn't true. But I was completely out of my mind. I was brainwashed and under mind control. So I wasn't suspicious at the time. Otherwise, I would have had the police interview everyone is in the house. I would have had the police look at the fact that the cult leader left the house. He had motive, opportunity, and means. So I would have read the autopsy report, which was, had inconsistencies in it. But I just couldn't. It was just so excruciatingly painful. Like, it was, honestly, I was times when I was going breath to breath. It was just enough to get through, minutes. So I didn't really look at it then. And after a couple of months, I went along to see this man who'd been the cult psychologist. In addition to having all these training sessions with the guru, and we had all our little projects we're supposed to work on, we're also supposed to see a kinesiologist and a psychologist to help us with our issues because we're so broken. And I didn't ever see him. I was pretty disobedient, actually. That was another reason why the cult leader said my son had killed himself, was because I was disobedient. I wasn't a good disciple, and I wasn't giving him the life his soul had called out for. So anyway, I went along to see this psychologist. I walked in the door and he said, "I knew you'd come to see me one day. You know you're in a cult, don't you?" And I said, "No, I don't know I'm in a cult. I thought I was in an ashram with my guru." He said, "Go home and Google cult characteristics." So I went home and I Googled cult characteristics. Charismatic leader who's the arbitrator of truth, controls people's lives, their time, what they eat, who they're in relationship with, where they go, where they work, uses gaslighting, which is basically strategies to feel like you're going crazy, denying reality.
Sounds like our government right now.
It is. That's what happened after I realized I was in a cult. I'm in a cult. And I consider myself a reasonably intelligent person, but intelligence has nothing to do with whether or not you can get caught up in a cult, because the tactics that are used are on levels that surpass like intellectual capacity. The other thing is that what these cult leaders do is they're actually demon possessed, and they use black magic. And that's something that really isn't talked about, but it is happening on, well, the scale that I was involved in, and it's happening on a worldwide scale too. We're dealing with pure evil and black magicians, and I just happened to be, face to face with this one particular demon for all those years. And then he wouldn't let me go. Like, he had all these tactics, like, if you leave now, then you're turning your back on God. It was thousands, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes you've worked to get to here to be with me, but so if you leave, you're basically turning your back on your soul, on God. And that was on a spiritual level. And the other one was he wouldn't let me take my daughter. And, I'm not supposed to leave the state and all these, like man-made rules. So I felt really trapped. And I believe that he finally let me go, because otherwise he would have had 2 deaths on his hands, because I just couldn't stand it anymore. And the tragedy was, my family knew I was in a cult. A year after I left, my parents went to see a cult expert. No one said anything. None of my brothers, none of my parents. They didn't say anything. No. I mean, they didn't like him, but
especially with grandbabies, you'd think that they would.
Right. With grandbabies who said, my son said to my mother's husband, they made me get into the pool naked. The guys made me get into the pool naked. And he said to him, well, if it happens again, let us know. So, there were people outside who could look in and see what was going on was so I didn't have anyone telling me I was in a cult. So that's one of the things now that I'm doing, is when I see that there's a cult, I'm going to call it out. And that's what I'm, been talking about, the bigger picture, and that humanity's enslaved by a satanic blood cult. Mm-hmm. People need to know, because if you don't know you're in a cult, then, like, if you can't see the cage, how can you escape? If you just think it's normal, then you stay stuck there. So I left, came to Hawaii, and that's when my healing really started. That's when I started learning about narcissistic personality disorder and what that meant for me. It meant I'm codependent. It's a self-love. Both of those things, narcissistic personality disorder and codependency, are self-love deficit disorders. So I had to love
for each other.
Yeah, perfect fit, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to love myself. I had to say affirmations. I had to do practices. I had to use all these tools and techniques that now I've written about to establish self-love. Otherwise, I was a target for additional narcissists. And then when I finally was with the last narcissist, I said, that's it. I have to establish self-love, or else I'm just a target. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time in nature doing things that I love: hiking, walking, swimming, snorkeling. And then I was able to learn about cults, cult programming, demons, demon infestation. And as I started doing practices like sun gazing every day, because the light of the sun is the highest source of information available to us while we're here in these bodies.
People are wearing sunglasses.
People are wearing sunglasses. People are told not to look at the sun. Sunscreen, that stay inside. Now children have to be forced to go out and play. Even adults, have to make an effort to go outside. That's so unnatural for a human being. We need sunlight. It's a nutrient. And so that taking sunlight into my eyes, I don't know exactly what it does, but it brings in light codes and life affirming and life optimizing information into those organs in my brain. And that's continued to expand my consciousness, so I can receive a lot of information, see a bigger picture. And so I've been writing my latest book.
So the sun gazing, it's what? I know the best sun is in the morning. I can't get up before 7, but I know it's getting the sun in your eyes. And I've tried to do that even on getting it on my chest, a wide area, even in the winter. So how long is it? It's like 20 minutes in the sun, or 10? I mean, you don't want to go in the noonday sun and stand, look up at it and burn your eyeballs out. But you're getting the light codes. How long is it? It's like 10, 20 minutes?
Well, with sun gazing, when I first started, it was only seconds because it's such a
Mm.
powerful practice.
Yeah.
So I would just look at the sun as it rose above the horizon, like 5 seconds I started. And the point is, it shouldn't hurt. If it's hurting, just stop it. It's not like the no pain, no gain thing. Just stop, because any amount of light is beneficial. And do it with like soft gaze, and be as relaxed as possible, because when we're relaxed, that's our optimally receptive state. And then, of course, give thanks for what you're receiving, because the sun is a being. You know, you can have a relationship with the sun. With anything in nature, you can have a relationship with it, and that will enhance the medicine, the practices. And then in terms of sunlight, it's advised like at least 15 to 20 minutes a day. And that's, our ancestors lived outside all the time. So really that's like bare minimum of sunlight on your skin. You can also look at the sun with your eyes closed. That will also, because there's a porosity in our skin and our bones and flesh, so the light can still go in. You can do it on your back or on the back of your head, the top of your head. The sunlight will still go in. And the other ways to receive light are from. So you can do it just back to sun gazing, at dawn and then at dusk too. That's also when the sun's going down. That's also a perfect time to sun gaze and give thanks for the end of the day. And it's like a really powerful ritual. And the other ways to receive light are from moonlight, so moon gazing, star gazing, and then reflected light, so the light that shines on the water. That I can't think of the name, but anyway, when the sun's shining on the water and it's twinkling, that reflected light, that's also beneficial. And then light that's shone through a prism, like the rainbow light, any natural light, so firelight, candlelight, any of those light forms are beneficial to, optimizing our being, really.
Yeah, I keep crystals in my windows, and
Yeah.
in the front door. So I'd open the front door and let that light get refracted into my environment.
Perfect. I've got it all around me now because the sun's just come up. Yeah. Yeah. Light's key. The light is key.
And speaking of cults, so one of the ways I realized a lot of the cult mindset. Well, first of all, I lived in Los Angeles and I've been approached for cults. I mean, I've been at Scientology to shoot. I used to shoot commercials, and we were at Scientology Center off of Franklin in Hollywood, and people are coming up, oh, have you learned about L. Ron Hubbard? Like, no, 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 no. And then at Axiom, I think I got approached for that. And then the One Taste, which is, the whole weird masturbating thing. And they're like, how do you know you don't like it if you didn't try it? I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want it. And then the Axiom, I know that there was just a show on that, all the different levels you had to go to, because I wanted to be an actress and I wanted to be successful, or was thinking about acting, and you have to go, it's supposed to have helped women. And I just saw all the different levels that it was on. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'll never get there if I have to keep spending all this money. And then I had a phone conversation and they give me this really hard pressure. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested. I think I actually had to hang up the phone with them. So there's a lot of that in Los Angeles. I think it's a belly event. I think I had, by the grace of God, stayed really above all that. I had angels, working all around me, but I saw it very much so. And I'm glad I kind of had my eyes closed while living in Los Angeles, because the cult and symbolism is everywhere. I had a friend that woke, she went sober and she woke up while living in Hollywood. She's like, oh my God, there's that billboard over there and over there. That's like cannibalism. Like, I woke up in Portland just before the pandemic, and we're talking about all these natural things that our body needs. And they were telling us just the opposite. Stay indoors, use these chemicals on your hands, put this apparatus over your face so you can't breathe. Nobody was touting like I forest bathed all the time. That's what I would do. I'd get out for my walks, breathe fresh air, forest bathe, get those beautiful ions, get sun. Nobody was touting that. And I'd be attacked for walking around without that apparatus on my face. I'm like, I am outside. Just, keep to yourself. So I think a lot of us, that was a big wake up call from us, this huge cult mindset we called it the COVID cult. And there's still people that believe that because their brains have gotten so broken that they're just not going to go back. That's like what mass formation psychosis, forgot his name, that talked about that's happening. So
Robert Malone.
Yes, Robert Malone, but there's somebody else that actually stated that. He actually wrote it. I keep wanting to say Desmond Tutu, but it wasn't Desmond Tutu. So, but you've overcome brainwashing and narcissistic abuse, and now you help others identify and heal from similar situations. What are some practical tools and advice you can offer listeners who may be struggling with fear based mind control or emotional manipulation, whether even personally or what they're seeing collectively on the world stage?
I think where I would start is that we need to be as powerful as possible in our bodies and the mind. And for me, that is rooted in my connection to nature. Like I said, through the sun gazing, you mentioned forest gazing, time in nature. I also haven't worn shoes for about 8 years. I mean, I wear them when I go out, walking down
Grounding,
to the shops or whatever,
or
but I'm
batteries.
connected to the earth. That's vital. I don't hear a lot of even natural doctors talking about this. It's the essential nature of being directly connected to the earth. And even if you can't have bare feet on the earth, you can still touch trees, touch crystals, rocks, other grounded people, grounded pets. And it's really important to be grounded at the moment because there are so many ways that we're being thrown off by all the mind fuckery that's going on, all the fear-based mind control. And we need to be able to stay centered and grounded and balanced. And really the only way to do that is to be directly connected to the natural world as much as possible. So I would advise spending as much time in nature as possible. Just even sitting outside on the back steps with your feet on the concrete or on the brick part, just don't be holding, just be there. Go and lie on the lawn, take a picnic to the parks, connect to nature, because that's how we can be as powerful as possible and not be thrown around by all the bullshit, because it's all distraction. Everything that's going on is a distraction from who we are, why we're here, and what's really going on in the world, or the political theater, or the evil clown show, or the money bullshit, financial markets, just all of it. Because what's really happening is Earth is going through an ascension process where the frequency of light that's bombarding the Earth continues to increase. And that is affecting everything. That's changing our vibrations from our DNA all the way through our bodies, our chakras, and that's happening for everyone and for the Earth herself. And so all this distraction keeps us focused on the bullshit rather than focused on the fact that we can receive this light if we're balanced and centered and grounded, and that will optimize our being, expand our consciousness, so then we can see the programs that are being played out, the games that are being played on us, and the tricks of the trade or whatever. We can recognize those and then not get pulled into the emotionality of it all. And that's, that we can avail ourselves of that light frequency anywhere at any time and simply be relaxed and and embodying that light. You don't even have to be outside. You can just visualize it. Of course, it's better to be receiving the light physically. My point is to be aware of what's really important, and that is that we're in a paradigm shift. So it's no wonder it's all batshit crazy. This is a change of frequencies of these operational systems that have been going on the planet. And here we are in the midst of it. And the best way to navigate through that is be connected to the earth, because like I said, she's going through her changes. So in order for us to go through the process with least amount of physical symptoms or tiredness or just anguish, is to stay connected and aligned to the earth and nature and God, which is all the same.
Because our bodies were one big, we're light, and we're got battery packs on our feet. I saw the documentary Earthing, and I was just so fascinated by that. And you just get connected. I can feel it pretty instantly when I take my shoes off and really put my feet in the ground. And you're connected all the time. That's pretty amazing, being where you live. And I mean, such a special island. But yeah, getting the light into our bodies and calling in it. So when you do get the light, do you have any mantras, or is there anything we're getting it no matter what? It's just being present and allowing the light to enter you. You don't have to necessarily say anything for it to.
You don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of nature. Nature's always giving. So we just simply need to be open and receptive. And then the most important part of the practice is to be grateful and grateful and conscious that we are in receipt of this energy, and then it's possible to have a relationship with that too, to be in conversation and communion, and see where that magic takes. Well, I see where it takes me.
Because there's a lot coming at us. We've got frequency. I keep hearing it's a war on consciousness. The frequency, stuff coming out of our computers or the towers. And there was a movie or show called Westworld. And as I became more aware of what was happening around me, I'm like, oh my God, we're in Westworld right now. We're like, it's hive mind and everything's up here. They're trying to control our consciousness. But before, this isn't something that's new, like a lot of us are waking up to it, but it's something that's been going on for a very, very, very long time. And I would like to delve into that, how a lot of it is evil and demonic. And, I've heard people say, oh, there's no such thing as evil or, good or evil. I certainly believe there is. And we're seeing it played out, with all the pedophilia that's happening. There's blood ceremonies. There's so much like things going out there. So when you open your eyes, you see it. I see it everywhere. But also like being connected to earth, being connected to the sun is going to keep you grounded. So that could be happening. You can observe it, but not be affected by it.
Be less affected by it.
Be less affected by it.
Yeah, because it is the light that's coming in now that's bombarding the planet, that it's exposing all the evil that has been around for eons. But now we get to see it, like you said, in government, in finance, in Hollywood, in the Olympic Games, the evil and their satanic rituals are being exposed. There's so many cults are being exposed and cult leaders, which makes my day. That's the light of truth, the light of love is exposing all this, what's been operating in the shadows. And that is pure evil. That is,
yeah, and it's on pure display right now. Look at the symbolism in the Olympic ceremony. All those psychopaths that meet in Davos every year and try to control the world or depopulate. And the Super Bowl ceremonies are just like, really? And all the these artists that start out all like fresh and clean, they turn into all this like bloodletting and devil worship and their photo shoots, how the humiliation ceremonies, and it's just like so obvious. But then so many people don't see it. So the ones that are awake, that's something of itself, to be able to see what's happening in the world and not be affected by it, or at least you're affected by it, but you're not, I was like a reed in the wind. I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? Let's warn the world. But those that are staying asleep to it all, that wasn't like attack on Christianity, that opening ceremony, or they just don't see anything wrong. Oh, that's French. That's France. I didn't see anything really wrong with that. And then the men allowed to box women. And then the Olympic Committee doubled down on it. Instead of apologizing and backing off, they doubled down on it. And then the girl that got beat up, two of them, now the men are going to compete in women's boxing. She apologized for it. I hope she eventually comes out, because her voice is going to be very strong to talk out against this. But she actually apologized to him for being upset. So we're seeing this happen. One of the reasons I won't watch the Olympics too, and it's at great detriment to these athletes that train their whole life. But we're seeing it go into these women's spaces, and like in women's prisons, and now safe spaces. Like if you go to abuse center, there might be a man. And if you're not okay with it, then you're the one that needs counseling. Like nobody's really sticking up for us women right now. They're really not. So how do you see the groupthink and the cult mentality around what's happening to women right now in our society? I mean, women have always been, we were witches for so long. Like throughout history, they've tried to tap us down.
Yeah, well, just have to say that I think the greatest power lies within women, because we are creative beings.
Yes,
physically,
we're portals to another dimension. We
are.
Give life.
And so I see this attack on women. It's just part of the whole attack on humanity. There's the breakdown of the family unit now, so that there's not that secure place for children to grow up in. So they grow up just lost and angry and her. And then there's the attack on men, the sissification of men. It's disgusting to see what's happened to men. You know, they've been so feminized. And then to see what's happening with women, we've been objectified, and then, you know, like you say, there's been this poisoning of women's sports, and it's part of this whole transgender thing. What the fuck is going on with that? What are they doing to children? And it's parents doing it too. You know, it's absolutely evil what's happened. That you don't know whether you're a boy or a girl. That's, you know, up for decision. That the fact is, no one can be transgender. That it's just not possible. There's male and there's female, and there's very rare cases of hermaphrodites. So to be, and who gives a shit who you want to, you know, have sex with? Why is there all this emphasis on sex? It's all part of the strategy to dehumanize humans. So we don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. And then we just become, you know, roboticized, following along, living life through black screens, being swayed by, you know, the opinions and the algorithms that come through those. And it just leaves humanity completely powerless and open for slavery, continued
malleable.
But here's the thing. The thing is that all those, and I don't know who they are. You know, people say, who are they? Well, they are the hierarchy that's enslaving us. They're non-human, subhuman, anti-human, bloodlusting parasites. So whoever they are, they know that their days are numbered, because the light that is coming forth from the great central sun, the photon belt through our sun, is continuing to increase. And they cannot survive, they cannot function, they cannot run their psyops when there's a high frequency of light. Their vibration is low. Fear, you know, anger, depression, suicide, that's the vibration they feed off, they operate with. That's what is their sustenance. So as the vibration increases, their sustenance is going to be gone. So they know their days are numbered. That's why they're so brazen at the moment with all this. They're not hiding anymore. And it's only really, it's up to us, those of us who are aware of what's going on. And then those that then, even because there's some people who are aware and they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to enjoy my life and good luck to the rest of you. So there's only even a fewer number of people who want to do something like you know, want to raise awareness. Or me, I write books, you know, give people techniques and tools and practices to help be as powerful as possible during this wartime, because it is wartime. It's not like we're waiting for the Third World War. It's already underway. This is called psychological warfare, psy-war, fifth generational warfare, and where the mind is the battlefield. So we're all victims of that. And they know that it's only a matter of time before they're out, whatever's going to happen. And it's up to us who know what's going on, who can actually take steps. We're the ones who are going to determine how this plays out. Like, are we going to go into full-blown, like, chaos and death and destruction, or is there going to be divine intervention and an uprising of pure divine human beings who are going to create a world that is supporting all inhabitants? You know, that top-down system of control will be gone. It'll be more egalitarian, you know, the world that we can envision. So it's up to us, because that's how this system of control manifests. We're the ones who uphold it by voting, by paying taxes, by watching news, by even just talking about it. You know, although I do agree, like you said, people just want to turn their backs and not even want to know about the evil. Well, that allows evil to proliferate. You know, that I don't want to know about it. It's too evil or whatever, you know.
It's knowing but not feeding into it, and then using what you can do to help enact change.
Yeah, we have to enact change because we're the change agents. We're the ones creating reality. It's through that mind control and the brainwashing that has enabled those who are controlling humanity to manifest the world that they want to live in, a world of debauchery and sexual depravity and violence and bloodlust and wars. That's what they want. But that's not our nature. That's not human nature. You know what human nature is. To be kind and helpful and, um, a part of a community. Yeah, it's up to us. We're the ones that get to play this out with every thought, every word, and every action. We are the ones that are creating the future. So it's a big responsibility, but the truth is that Earth will go through this ascension, and there will be a new Earth with new humans, and we won't have all this fucking evil shit dragging us down.
I hope it's in my lifetime. I don't know about it, but I know it just feels like it's just sped up. Like every time I tune in, I'm like, what is going on? This is clown world. And what is so more disheartening is how many people are just falling in line with it. So I mean, I'm pretty outspoken about it, and I just am, because I see where we're heading, and I see what's happening. We do have a challenge sometimes as far as being carried away with it, and that's where all these practices about getting in nature. I live by nature. I have to be my nature. Getting out into nature, it allows you to be present, connecting to the earth, connecting to the energies that are natural. And because we are ascending, that's why they're doing, these medical interventions I read that the mRNA inhibiting your own natural immunity. So you've got your body doesn't even know how to heal itself anymore. And a lot of people, I couldn't believe it, just walked in line, even though it was an experiment. And they're still towing the line of that. None of that will ever enter I want to have a pure body. God made it perfect in order to heal itself. So empowering yourself in order to listen to people like yourself. And I followed Mark Braden and Bruce Lipton in the very beginning to understand things. So, and you've written books, putting on the armor of God, a survival handbook for the Great Awakening and New Earth. And your newest book, New Human of New Earth, talks about how to protect and empower ourselves. Your second book is it's out, or it's coming out soon, or it's at the editor. Right?
Yeah, it's at editor, yeah.
Okay. So that'll be out soon. Do we know when that's going to be out? Because by the time this comes out.
My aim is the 19th of November, which is when Pluto moves into Aquarius for the
good
last time. Yeah. Yeah.
Good timing, oh boy. And then we're coming into, this is recording in August, and we have the Lionsgate portal that's coming up. Is there anything significant with this portal? I know that's always an opening and a lot of stuff happens during the portal, but is this, I don't know if the themed is the right word for it. What is projected for this portal that's opening up? It's tomorrow.
It's a massive influx of high frequency light is coming in through the portal. And that's also the reason why on this date, there's usually a lot of fuckery that goes on from the black magicians. Like last year, what happened was Lahaina got torched.
God.
And so, there's all these rituals that go on that distract people from receiving that light, like I was explaining before. So we're now, instead of being open and receiving the light, information, the codes, the love, people are outraged by what's happening, or they're, someone's died, or
that takes your frequency whatever. Down.
Yeah, it brings that's exactly what they want. So they do these. Anyway, it's tomorrow, and it's is the 8th of the 8th, and I'm just keeping an eye out, because they have their ritual. They have their rituals, like we said, with the public ceremonies, halftime games, Olympic games, opening of public infrastructure and stuff like that. Then they also have their dates where they do.
I've seen
they do their black magic rituals, seasons of slaughter, and pedophilic rituals. And I think the thing that one of the things we talked about before was the level of evil, and that's one reason why people don't want to look at the evil that's going on, because it is so evil. And once you accept that there is evil here and it's affecting our lives, then you have to break down your worldview. And that's a very challenging process, I know even when I think it was 9/11 that really got me into an understanding of, the government is out to kill you.
Yeah.
But even when the whole bullshit started a few years ago with the injection experiment or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I still ended up gutted on the floor when I realized, my God, about that mRNA technology.
Yep.
Like Steiner predicted 100 years ago that there would be injections that would separate the human from their soul.
Yep.
And that's what's happening. And that's why a lot of people are following along, because they don't want to see the evil in the world. And frankly, they're just so deeply brainwashed and entrenched.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to think that they, because then what do you do? What do you do when you know the government's out to kill you, when they're stealing your money and they're calling it taxation,
Absolutely.
and they're
We're in a
brainwashing
slave
their kids and
system.
calling it, yeah, right. What do you do when you realize that you're totally enmeshed in the slave system and your whole life is being devoted to supporting it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I know what I did. I had and still levels of breakdown to like assimilate this information, because it's horrific.
Mm-hmm. It's
when
horrific.
when you find out that and that's what we do. Like, we only know the little, like you said, tip of the iceberg of
Mm-hmm.
what's really going on, and that's just completely disturbing and distressing. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on that point about that vaccine, well, it's not even a vaccine, that injection, I've had friends, or I've had friends, and I've had them on my podcast as well, where she was talking about how she did a reading and she did some kind of shamanic ceremony on her, and like it was like she couldn't find her spirit. Like it was just so separated. It was so far away. It was like she was in some far echo chamber. She was just really separated from herself. And she's been seeing that with a lot of people. And as far as like the shock and dismay, where I thought it was something out of Hollywood, I talked about this before we hit record, is like what's going on with children and the ceremonies around the children and the suffering of children and the bloodletting. And it is just so, and the organ harvesting and impregnating women just to like use these babies, these children, the witch doc. It's just so horrific, but it's allowed to continue unless we do become aware of it. And we are the change makers that have to bring this to the light, even though it's so dark, in order for it to transform itself. And that's what's happening with these Ascension and the systems crumbling and everything. Everything has to be, it's like, it has to be like taking a picnic tablecloth and just whipping it up into there and letting everything like fall apart to come back together. Yeah. So yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot. But the thing is, we don't really have to do a lot. We just more have to embody light and radiate light and love and peace, because that contributes to the collective consciousness. It contributes to the raising of the frequency of the planet, because like I said, the higher the frequency goes, the sooner that, the black magicians are out of here, because they can't operate. So by embodying light, just being peaceful, being human, that's the most powerful thing we can do at the moment. So to be not engaging through screens as much as possible, even though they're extremely addictive and seductive, and they're part of it. That's the thing. These technologies, that like the phones and the computers, tablet, they're not just inventions of humans. Someone didn't like invent them in their garage or their mother's basement or in a high-tech lab. They're the technologies of the dark ones who are trying to control the freedom and future of humanity. They're alien technologies, AI, alien intelligence. And you can see how they work, because now everyone, instead of focusing on the world around us or the people, everyone's looking at a freaking screen all the time. And that's extremely disempowering for a human being. We don't evolve this way through a screen. We can learn a lot. We can get ideas. We can get augmentation, but we evolve through our biology and our connection to nature and our connection to God. We evolve through our physiology with light codes activating DNA. And we need to be primarily connected to the natural world, not through these artificial devices. Because, okay, yes, they do help connect people, and we can learn a lot. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done without these technologies. But it's so easy to be controlled by them and influenced by them, and especially for children, because now we've got 2 generations who haven't experienced life without screen technologies. They don't know how to relate to the world first. First, it's a screen. Once they get one put in front of them, which is getting younger and younger. And people say, oh, the children are the hope of the world. Well, have you seen them? They don't play out on the street anymore. Sometimes, you can see a couple, but they're in schools getting indoctrinated into the debt slave system. So they just get told to sit down and shut up and learn a whole lot of useless shit. So then they come out and they're just like paying taxes and mortgages and all that.
Yeah.
So it's the children are really getting the one, but that's how you control humanity, right? You just continue to control the next generation. And then they basically all just agree to walk around with, you don't need implants because everyone's holding their handheld slave devices.
It's like Kingsman. When I thought it was funny at the time, like, oh my God, they're doing that now. Kingsman, where your phone, they put out this frequency and they all start attacking each other. And the elites lock themselves in a bunker because they're going to survive all this. But then the good people come and reverse the signal and their heads blow up. But yeah, you never saw Kingsman? But now it's like, oh my God, that's real. It's not.
Well, that's another thing that they do. They tell you what they're going to do.
Yes,
they'll tell you what they're going to do. It's and if they don't receive any pushback, there's a name for it when they tell you, like, anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, they tell us through movies, through books, through
programming, predictive programming.
Yes, but there's another word for it. By telling us what they're going to do, it absolves them of their, supposedly,
their whole ritual, like they have to show it.
Yeah, they show it. And
just like the symbolism.
Yeah. Oh, the symbolism, yes. But they'll tell you what you can see it in The Simpsons or all that sort of stuff. And if there's no pushback, if there's no one saying, hey, wait a minute, we're not going to do that digital currency bullshit, like how is that society going to run, If there's no pushback, then they can just like roll it on in.
Thank heavens we have people that are like Del Bigtree and the High Wire and RFK and the Children's Health Defense has been really great because I just saw them. They're trying to introduce a European vaccination card. I forgot how many countries are signed up. Portugal is one of them. I think it's the UK. I don't know if it's the UK, but like I think there were 5 or 6 countries and you have all your status in one place. Like, no, that's not very good. And I'm not going to be able to travel anywhere again. But I'm okay with that. If I can't travel anywhere again, I'm glad I got to do it when I did. I can hunker down if I need to. But if people don't push back, and in Europe, they're going to have biometrics now. And we have to have like a visa. It's only $7 to go over there. And that's like the soft, it's $7 to do this and to get a visa. And next thing you're going to be walking through getting your biometrics where they're going to get your gate. They priority, got it. And it's so soft. They softly roll you into this whole totalitarian, into their cult, just like a cult. Right? Because they softly take your self-esteem away and prop you up and then take it away. And that's what's happening. I'm like, this is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. Those cult tactics are, we're under the influence of masters of mind control. They know the human mind better than we know ourselves. So they know how to, like you say, make it a soft sell. That was just been shocking to see how many people just follow along with the government lies and propaganda. I was really, really shocked, I have to say. People that I thought would know better just fell in line and still continue to do so. And that just shows you how powerful the black magicians are with all their tools and technologies. And it also shows you how powerful we are because they have to come at us from all those directions. I mean, they start before birth with ultrasounds, right? So they irradiate growing fetuses with ultrasounds, for God's sake. Like, who thought that was a good idea? And then they come out and they do a vitamin K shot, which is a black box product into a newborn. And then you start with, bottle feeding okay, if you couldn't breastfeed, okay. But the fact that it's pushed as a way to grow children, the formula feeding, and then it's the public education and screens, and it just goes on and on and on, the ways that we're attacked. Like you said, EMFs, all the ultra processed foods, which are they're carcinogenic. It's no wonder people are so sick and overweight from what they're eating, what they're breathing, what they're drinking. There's the water that most people drink is poisonous. Indoor air is poisonous, outdoor air is poisonous. Sorry to sound like a real downer here, but it's important.
But it's true.
It is true, and it's important to know so that you can take steps to minimize that. Like, be growing your own food as much as possible. Even if because the human body is absolutely phenomenal. If you just give it like basic nutrition, it will stay relatively healthy. It's only when you continue to bombard it with poisons like alcohol and smoking and the EMFs and it will, and ultra processed food, it will tank. But the human body really just needs sunshine, nutrition, exercise, rest, and fun, and
mitigate stress.
What's that?
Mitigate the stress. But
Yeah,
if you're doing
mitigate.
all those things, you're out in nature. It's naturally you're not going to have that stress. You're naturally not going to be stressed.
We have to practice relaxation, and that isn't lying down scrolling, but really allowing our bodies to be completely relaxed, because like I said before, that's the optimal state for receiving, so that in that state then you can receive whatever it is that you need, and trust that God, the universe, or whatever is giving you that when you're in the relaxed state. I just want to say that one thing about growing your own food. If you just sprout sprouts, whether that's lentils or mung beans or alfalfa or broccoli sprouts, that is optimal nutrition, because you put your energy into the growing of this food, and then you're taking into your body the life force energy, because that's really what's optimal. That's why I take light into my body too. But you can take light in through your food. So sprouts are full of light. Fresh fruits and vegetables, the fresher the better. Tropical fruits are full of light. And when I say light, it's also equal to biophotonic energy. Photons come from the sun, and when a living organism takes in the photons and then produces biophotons, that's living light. And we produce that. Fruit and vegetables, animals, all living things produce biophotonic energy. That's why we are light beings. We really are. We create light. And the more light we create, which we can do, when we're optimally healthy, then the like I said, the faster the frequency of the planet will increase, and also our life will be optimized too.
And I've also heard, as far as plants too, and this is something that I think the Indians, or back in the day, they used to do, your own saliva with the seed, because then when you plant it, it's got your own DNA, and it will grow in a way that will help your body, because it's got your own DNA. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have. That's from the Ringing Cedars series. And the teacher is Anastasia. She's an absolutely extraordinary being, and her wisdom has been passed through these series of books called The Ringing Cedars. And she describes that, like holding the seed in your mouth, and then it's all, along with the cycles of, I think it's the cycles of the planets as well. And then the plant that you grow will grow medicine for you, individualized medicine, which is absolutely phenomenal. And there's so many things that we don't know about the natural world or about our bodies that we really can take advantage of. And that's a lot what the New Human of New Earth's about, is a reminder of all these like aspects of being human and being divine that we need to remember, because they're being so quickly forgotten with this whole like AI technology thing.
Yeah. And these agendas, the climate,
and
they're trying to force us into these, they're trying to control us and force us into these 15-minute cities, and then just have all the land on the outside for, them. And I would die before going into a 15-minute city. I'm a nature girl. Yeah. I'm like, that's not happening to me. I'll be an outlier. I'll be a divergent. I do not care. So yeah, there's a lot coming at us.
There is a lot coming at us. Yep. And that's why we need to be as powerful as possible.
Return back to the basics.
Yeah, return back to the basics and stay connected to nature, because that's how we're going to receive the power, how we're going to be balanced, because there's so many things that throw us off balance, physiologically, psychologically, and the only way to rebalance and recharge and replenish is to be in nature. So if you're not doing that, you're really doing yourself a great disservice, especially at this point. Yeah. And then to be teaching children, and also, pets, they need to, go outside and be in nature too. This whole idea of like indoor animals is just cruel. It's really cool.
Yeah,
okay,
I have cats indoors, but I let them out on the patio. I sit out with them on the patio. I put all this like netting along the patio in order for me to be able to go outside without worrying about them falling through the balcony. But
We all need fresh air and sunshine and being connected to the earth.
Yeah, and it's been so hot here and so humid here. It's been a humid, like icky summer. And it's just, I have air conditioning on, but today I've been able to open the windows. I like the fresh air in a car. Give me the fresh air unless I'm dying. So, yeah, I don't like, and I don't even put light on in my house unless it's nighttime, barely any, because I like the natural light to go in. I don't even wear sunglasses anymore, really, unless it's super bright. Like I drive in my car, I just put the visor down a little bit without even knowing this. I kind of just evolved to doing that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, you sound like me. I don't wear sunglasses. I try to be. I don't wear makeup. I I, I really try to be as like as natural as possible.
And how has that transformed your life and your experience by living this way?
Well, I don't suffer anymore. I used
Mm,
to suffer all the time. I felt like a victim. Oh my God, I'm not such a bad person, but why is all this bad shit happening? Like, why are people dying? And I'm in these relationships with these absolutely evil people. And, why is my family abandoned me? And I felt like felt like a victim.
mhm.
And now, all those things are still happening, but I actually I feel good in myself because I know who I am. I've got my connection with God, which is not a religious thing at all.
Right.
It's just a
Mm-mm.
word that I use because I was raised by a devout atheist who hated God and made me,
Mm-hmm.
spit the word out. But now I'm using it. It's the
Can be whatever you.
it can be whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel solid in myself, and now I can continue to heal and serve, which has basically been my mantra for a long time now. And I also have a lot of really extraordinary things happening where I'll be like I'll hear a word that I'm writing at the same time, or like there's a lot of coincidence. Like I could feel the layering of this dimensionality. I don't really have words for it. I don't, but I can feel the fluidity of
Mm-hmm.
the reality. So that there are and a lot of blessings happening too. Like you mentioned about when you came to Kauai and how quickly things happen. Well, if I want something, I'll find it. Just so I went snorkeling the other day. I go out and collect fishing line that's around coral. It's my little, because coral dies as soon as it's got something wrapped around it. And so I cut line and pick up fishing garbage and all that. And I had thought before I went in the ocean that I needed a piece of wire, not thinking that I'm going to go out in the ocean and find it, but that's what I found. I found exactly what I needed. And that's
Mm-hmm.
happened a few times where
Mm.
I'll think I need something and then it'll come.
It's amazing because you're
It is
connected.
amazing.
It's so amazing. It's just
Yeah.
confirmation for you to keep doing on what you're doing because you're getting confirmation from the universe that and that's how we as, divine beings, we're supposed to experience that every day, experience
Right.
miracles and magic every day. So that beautiful connection, you having exactly what you need is just,
It's
it's such
extraordinary.
great validation.
And so to get away from a lot of the mind games of where I would feel guilt and shame and be rerunning stories in my head, beating myself up, to be able to clear myself of that now means that I can hear my intuition.
Mm,
I can hear divine guidance. And so then I know that I'm in the right place, doing the right thing, and to relax into that, even if there's this absolute shit show going on in the world out there. I don't feel so my heart
fragmented.
aches for the people who are suffering, but
Hmm.
I'm not suffering. And that might
Hmm.
sound selfish, but I think there's a certain degree of selfishness that is needed at this point
It is because you're a
to
lighthouse for others. They see you, maybe they're not with their conscious mind, but their soul, their spirit recognizes that in you. It's a lighthouse that shines it on another person and so on and so forth. So that's what we're
and
here
there
to
you
do.
go. There's another
Hmm.
coincidence. I'm writing my book yesterday, and one of the quotes that I wrote in the book was to be a lighthouse.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
do that by embodying light
Yes.
in all those different ways. And then that does influence other people, like you say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I would love for my listeners to know how to find you and follow you. If you have any projects that are lighting you up right now? I know you have your new book coming out. Where can people find that? Yeah, any socials or anything?
It's such a paradox. So, I'm supposed to be presenting this information, but I'm really quite shy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really on much social media. I have a YouTube channel called Feeling Better Naturally. And I got strikes in my channel because I talked too
Me
much
too.
about things that were going on, and they still track me. I can tell I've got just over 1,000 subscribers, but they're still on my ass. They
Yeah, me too. I
take
just got a
away.
strike for scalar energy. Just talking about scalar energy for healing, medical
What?
information, homeopathy, medical
Oh,
misinformation.
medical information. Oh, they love that, don't they? Because they want to keep the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, they just struck me for something I put up over a year and a half ago. I just got another strike on my account. I'm like, you know what? Uh, post on Rumble as a site, just to kind of cover your
Exactly.
bases.
Okay, move away. And so there's my YouTube channel, and what I'm doing now is mainly posting videos of nature,
Okay.
because even seeing images from the natural world, hearing sounds from nature is beneficial. I remember when I lived in the city, I used to play bird songs and cricket sounds at night and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, just to because that calms the body. We have this physical body that's an animal body that needs to be treated in a certain way in order to stay healthy. So sounds from nature, images from nature, and appreciating beauty too. That's a really powerful medicine, and you can see the way that uglification is used to really demoralize humans and disempower us. There's modern ugly architecture, ugly music,
Mm-hmm.
ugly dancing, ugly attitudes. There's a lot of, excuse me, uglification of the world. So we can combat that or counteract that with production of beauty and grace. So used a lot of natural images and just creating grace. Like I said, cleaning up out in the oceans, pick up trash wherever you go. That creates grace and also honors the earth, because she's been extremely disrespected, and it's important to acknowledge that
Mm-hmm.
this being that's supporting us.
And your books can be found where
Oh
do you?
yes, sorry. Back to my books are Putting on the Armor of God. I have it here.
Mm-hmm.
This was mostly written during the bullshit that happened over the last couple of years, but it still
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of relevant information in it. And the next one's called New Human, New Earth, and that would be available on Amazon and also through my website, which is feelingbetternaturally.love. And that's got a lot of articles that I've written, also some of my artwork, some videos, and that's probably the best place.
Excellent. I will put those down in the show notes so everybody can go and find you and find those books. Well, it's been wonderful having you on. Just one more question before we go. And what does it mean for you to live with an awakened heart?
It means to be connected to God, to like I'm the conduit. There's the divine, and then me, and then nature, and then my heart is that center. That is the powerhouse for my being, my life here on earth.
Mm.
Means to have a heart that's open, compassionate, love filled, and but also like skeptical and aware and questioning
Mm.
of what's really going on.
Mm. Beautiful. Beautiful. That encompasses all. Well, Bella, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the Awakened Heart podcast.
Thank you, Nancy. That was fun. I really appreciate the platform that you're offering and your contribution to the freedom and future of humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.